Hey everyone, welcome to tonight's recording of part of my meal prep. Many of you have been following along with me on social media as I've been sharing my food prep journey, and it's usually just been with pictures and just sharing recipes online, but it's kind of advancing to a point where people have been requesting and wanting a little bit more. They need a little bit more guidance, and so I decided to put together some videos and start sharing videos of some of the things that I prep and how I go about doing it and how I kind of make my time efficient and create nutritious and delicious things for me to eat all week long while I'm busy with work. So tonight we're going to be making some energy bites, and they're super easy. They're popular. They seem to be everywhere, and they're just like really easy to make and really easy to keep super healthy. So we're going to add some protein in them. I'm usually looking to add some protein to everything that I make, just so that we can make sure that we're able to build that muscle when we get into the gym. That's a huge priority for most of us. So tonight we're going to be making a protein energy bite. And I'm just going to go ahead and get started, dive right in. Okay, this usually is something that I think about making when I have those bananas that are kind of sitting around that have gotten a little bit overripe. Okay, they're really good for some sweetness in these protein bites without having to add any extra sugar. So we're going to grab that. I'm going to start with just one. I have just one banana that I'm going to be working with today, and I'm just going to go ahead and peel that and mash that up into this bowl here. So, oh my goodness, it was super tough. That's a really old banana. Okay, so we're just going to throw that into the bowl there. And then I'm just going to grab a fork. This is all just made by hand. I don't need any fancy equipment for this. So I'm just going to go ahead and mash that banana up. And today I'm actually going to be using some chocolate protein powder. I want these to be kind of a chocolatey. We're going to add chocolate. We're going to also add a couple of mini chocolate chips. So go ahead and I mashed that banana all up. And now I'm going to grab a couple of my other ingredients. I'm going to grab some chocolate protein powder. I'm going to grab some mini chocolate chips. And also going to grab some coconut. Out of the fridge, I'm going to grab my chia seeds. I like to add chia seeds in here. I like the texture of those. And then I'm also going to grab, I've gone ahead and blended up some oatmeal. Okay, we're going to use some, I have whole rolled oats on hand that I like to use. And I'm actually going to pull those out because we're going to use those a little bit later to roll these in. But for the first part here, I went ahead and I blended about half a cup. So it's just kind of powdery like flour. Okay, and I'm going to add some of that in there along with a couple of scoops of I'm going to start with 2. Now, this is the kind of recipe that you kind of need to go with consistency, okay? Because it's going to depend on how large a banana you have, how many bananas you have. And we're just looking to kind of create consistency in what we're creating here, that it's not super sticky, and it's able to kind of be rolled into balls that won't be like really hard. You don't want it super dry, but you don't want it to be too sticky to handle either. So I'm going to just go ahead and start mashing that all together. So I used almost that full half a cup of blended oats. Oat flour, I guess, is what we'll call it. We kind of blended those down into a flour. Okay. You can see that's just starting to come together kind of nicely. Okay. It's still pretty wet. You can see that it's still pretty wet consistency after I go ahead and mix that all, but I'm going to add a couple of our other ingredients before I mess with that consistency too much more. So I'm going to take some coconut. I'm just going to start with this. I'll probably just add a 1/4 cup of flaked coconut into that. And then I'm going to grab some of my chia seeds. And I'm probably going to start with 3 tablespoons of chia seeds on that. Okay. And we're just going to continue to mix that. See where we're at consistency-wise. starting to come together to make sure things are nice and mixed. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and add the rest of that oat flour. Again, that was half a cup of oat flour that I blended in my blender until it came down to a floury consistency, half a cup of oats to make that. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and toss one more scoop of protein powder into here just to up my protein and to kind of get it a little bit better consistency. I'm also at this time going to add a couple of tablespoons of mini chocolate chips. I really love working with the mini chocolate chips because I feel like you get more chocolate chips per bite. Okay, for if you use the bigger chocolate chips, you can still scoop in the same amount of calories, but this will give you more little chips throughout all of those. So I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of that, and each tablespoon is only 80 calories. Okay, so when we end up dividing this into our bites later on, it actually doesn't end up adding that much in the calorie content when we divided it on the 8 or 10 energy bites that we're going to get out of this. Okay, so again, I'm just going to go ahead and keep mixing that. And then we'll just about be ready to roll those out. Okay, so with your dry ingredients, you probably want to start adding slowly, okay? You don't ever want to add too many dry ingredients because you can't really back off from those, especially if you don't have any more bananas to add to the mix. So add your dry ingredients slowly, a little bit of a time, mix it all together and make sure you get to a consistency. I like it to kind of be the consistency of like what a chocolate chip cookie dough would be, okay? You don't want it to be too slimy and runny, but you don't want it to be really dry either, because then it will be a really dry energy bite. Okay, so kind of like a oatmeal chocolate chip cookie, kind of things will stick together, but they're not. It's not going to be like crazy hard. Okay, so I think I'm to a consistency where I like how that is looking. It's all kind of formed in the bottom of the bowl here. So now I'm going to show you a little trick that I have, because these can be quite sticky to handle. Okay, so once we kind of get them into our hands, they can be quite sticky, and then they can often stick to our containers that we're trying to put them in or whatever. So what I like to do, I'm going to set that out to put them out onto, and I'm going to grab a spoon. So I like to take some of my whole rolled oats and put them onto a plate like this, and just kind of like spread it around, okay, so that I can roll each of the balls as I form them in here, and then they won't stick to each other, and they won't stick to my parchment paper or to my Ziploc bags once I put them down into my Ziploc bag. They'll kind of allow me to, they'll be a little bit easier to transport. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take just a rounded tablespoon, and I'm just going to roll that into a ball. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to drop it down into those oats and kind of cover it with the oats. And that allows me to then roll it to a really nice shaped ball. Set that down onto my parchment paper. Okay. That's all that we're going to do. We're just going to continue to form those shaped into balls. Okay. And it's nice if we can get them somewhat uniform. I don't know. You guys know I like things to look pretty. I want them to be desirable to eat. So I try to get about the same size scoop in each ball that I put together. I try to keep them so that they look really nice and round. Roll them around in those oats. Okay. And you can see how my hands are getting sticky, but the oats are also sticking to my hands, which allows them to then not be as sticky. Okay, so you can see how these are all going to form up. And once it's all done, once we get them into, you can make the balls bigger or smaller depending on your own personal preference. And again, just kind of depending on your dietary needs, okay? So once we're all done and know how many balls we have created, we're going to be able to figure out the exact calorie and macro content of each of these. So we'll take the full ingredient list and we will divide it by the number of servings or the number of balls that we have created. And that will tell us how much protein, how many calories are in each of these little snack bites. Okay, so these are coming together quite nicely. These work really well with vanilla protein powder as well. They doesn't have to be chocolate. You can use what you have on hand and just whatever brand. I'm not a huge proponent of recommending one brand of protein powder over another. But I will tell you to make sure, it's really important that you make sure that you're getting kind of a good calorie to protein ratio. That is one thing that I always recommend that people look at. Okay, so if we are spending, think of it as like a money budget. If we are spending 150 calories on something, we want to make sure that there's a good return of protein in that 150 calories because we only have so many calories a day to eat. And we are looking to kind of maximize the protein that we can get from those calories. So my recommendation is usually to look for something probably between 120 and 190 calories per scoop of protein. And in that scoop of protein, I would recommend that you have probably 23 to 30 grams of protein in that calorie allotment. I feel like that's a good bang for my buck. It tells me that there's not too many extra things floating around in that protein that I don't want, extra calories, extra bulkers. I'm not looking for that. I'm looking for a pretty much clean, easy protein source that kind of is basically just the protein and a little bit of flavor. We want it to taste good. This chocolate one that I use is really yummy. Tastes good on its own, and it tastes good as I mix it into different recipes as well. So probably gonna get two more balls out of this. So what do I have here? 8, probably looking at a 10 or 11 energy bite balls here. And after I'm done with these, I'm going to put them in the fridge. They will harden up a little bit. They're quite soft still right now, and they will harden up a little bit in the fridge. And once they've kind of hardened up a bit on the parchment paper, I am going to go ahead and put them into probably servings of 2 in little snack size Ziploc bags. Then they're easy enough to like throw in my lunch. They're easy enough to kind of grab and go. And these are just kind of my take on an energy bite that has a good serving of protein in it. So I will go ahead and calculate. I'm going to calculate the recipe, the total number of calories that are in each of these balls and how much protein exists. But that is how I go ahead and make my energy bites. So we have 11 energy bites there. I'm probably going to go ahead and nibble on that one that turned out a little bit smaller than the rest, just so that I can enjoy it. But hope you guys enjoyed this recipe. I hope that you'll try it or a version of it and let me know how it goes. So stay tuned. I'll be sharing lots more videos of things that I'm making here in the kitchen, and I hope you'll join in and work alongside me. Okay, thanks.